Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Academic Skills Centre podcast. My name is Jason Murray, General Manager of Learning Services, and today I'm joined by my colleague, Dr Justine.
Hello.
I can't pronounce your surname, so I'm not going to attempt.
That's okay. I'll go by Dr Justine. I like it.
Welcome, Justine. To start with, could you please give me an overview of the services provided at the medical centre?
Sure, I can do that. Okay, so at Bond University Medical, Psychological and Disability Services, we offer a range of support services relating to every aspect of study, medical and personal wellbeing, and we're situated in Building 9, just outside the student court area. I'm going to start with the medical services, okay? So for the medical services, we have 2 doctors and 1 nurse, which comprise the medical team. So we have Dr Peter Carses, he's our campus doctor on Monday to Friday, full-time. We have Dr Sally Curveston in Women's Health, and she's here Wednesday and Fridays, half days from 9 to 12. And Vanessa Bradley is our campus nurse, and she's here from Monday to Friday. So the campus doctors are available by appointment and for lots of things such as general medical treatment, advice and testing, vaccinations, preventive medical treatment, prescriptions, blood tests, medical certificates, dive medicals and health assessments, and they also can refer to specialists if you need x-rays, ultrasounds, etc. The campus nurse tends to look at things like general health and care and advice, dressing, removal of sutures, blood taking requested by the doctor, immunisations, routine travel vaccinations and information. We always say please wait 4 to 6 weeks, come in early before your departure so that will work. And also students, if you, we can organise all your immunisations for hospital placements at our clinic. For payment, we have a bulk billing for all Medicare holders and direct billing for international students with Bupa, NIB, Allianz, and we're also looking at adding Medibank insurance onto that list. For everyone else, there's a consultation fee of $66 that applies to all other insurance companies. Consultations with the campus nurse are free of charge, and psychological and disability services are also free of charge. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the psychology team, Jason. So that comprises of 3 psychologists, 2 full-time and 1 part-time. So myself, Dr Caroline Azami, and Mr Mark Stringer. So for our services, we're available for appointment for personal counselling for problems including things like transitioning into university, stress, anxiety and depression, relationship difficulties, traumatic experiences, lack of confidence and motivation, disordered eating and body image issues, exam and study stress and bereavement. There's so many more, but just some examples to give you a little idea. All of our services are free and they're confidential, and they're currently open to all staff and students at the university. At the moment during COVID, we're also offering alumni that live in Queensland that can come in for our services too. For disability services, we have Patricia Jones, who's our officer there, and she's there from Monday to Thursdays. So for disability support, it provides reasonable adjustments for a disability, an illness, injury or health conditions that impact on one's capacity to complete their studies, exams or assessments and tasks. Please, you need to contact the disability officer to discuss strategies or academic adjustments that you might require. And a student, what they usually do is fill out a form, and they can provide recent and comprehensive specialist documentation to the disability officer to check that they're eligible for those requirements and make sure that we can give them the right service. You need to contact Patricia Jones if you want help and adjustments for your mid-semester exams prior to the end of week 4. And for end of semester exams by week 9. There's lots of emails that go out reminding students to get in contact with us before those times. I always recommend to get in touch with us anyway, even if you're outside those times, just in case there's something that we can do. We can be pretty flexible sometimes, if you're lucky. Okay, I'm ready for my next question.
Thank you. So can you please tell me about your role and why you love it? I know you're really passionate about what you do.
Okay, that sounds good. So for my role is to help people learn to cope with stressful situations, with difficult issues and with mental health problems. I do see a wide variety of people in my office, and I can treat many different kinds of problems. Some people, for example, may talk to a psychologist because they feel anxious or angry or sad all the time and they're not sure what to do. Others come in for a chronic mental health condition that interferes with their life and activities of daily living or their physical health in some way. And others, again, seem to come in for short-term problems. They want us to help navigate them through, feeling overwhelmed at university or maybe having an interpersonal problem with family or friends. So the kind of things you can expect, say in your first session of attending Bond University Psychological Services, that we'll give you the opportunity to just talk about your difficulties. Some of the psychologists will then ask you about your current situation as well, what brought you into the clinic, gaining information in areas about family dynamics and academic and work life and medical and previous mental health history, just to get a good overview of what's going on. Sometimes there's some diagnostic assessments that will be conducted, if required, in the initial interview, just to get a more in-depth understanding of your concerns and what's going on. There's many different types of therapies, and we offer quite a few different ones at Bond, which is really great. And it just helps tailor the therapy more to the person rather than us just doing one. We've got a few that are very common. So we've got cognitive behavioural therapy. We have solution-focused therapy, motivational interviewing, and acceptance and commitment therapy, just as examples of the main ones that we use, but there's lots of others as well. There's also, as well as individual therapy, there's also couples counselling for people who are both staff and students at at Bond University, and even families if you're all staff or students at the centre. It's a bit of fun. I only have 3 chairs in my room, Jason, so sometimes it can get a bit squashed. Yeah,
it's a bit crowded.
Yeah, sometimes I don't have anywhere to sit, so it's a bit of fun. To talk a little bit about my role as a psychologist and why I love it. I mean, I love being a psychologist. I find it a privilege to play a part in the story of others. I can't think of a more rewarding career, one that's designed to decrease the mental suffering of others, and one that works towards improving one's quality of life. That's pretty good. I get to join people and help them along the way, and we share those obstacles and successes together. I really appreciate those moments when people gain great insight into their own lives, or when they discover something great about themselves. There's nothing I'd rather do, and I consider myself very lucky to do this job.
Awesome, thank you. When I was studying, and I was a pretty good student, but I found studying at times, it became quite stressful. And so I was wondering, have you any advice for our students on how to manage study stress?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Student stress can be caused by a number of factors, especially while they're at university. There can be a lot of loneliness and homesickness or relationship difficulties, especially if they're living away from home for the first time, the international or interstate students. Some struggle with saving money for the first time, or with a bit of debt, not knowing how to balance their work and study and extracurricular activities and social life all at once. People worry about revising for their exams a lot. Writing essays or a dissertation can be very difficult. And there can be some difficulties with alcohol and drugs. Stress is a normal part of life, and there's nothing wrong with feeling stressed at different times, but it's only when the amount we're experiencing exceeds our own capabilities to manage that stress that it becomes a problem. So sometimes realising that you might need some help is the first step, wanting to reach out and ask someone for some help. If stress is starting to affect your mental well-being on a daily basis, there's some strategies that you can try. The first one is, and it's so easy, just talking to someone, talking to family or friends, and just getting a bit of a picture of, hey, does this sound I'm out of perspective, or does this sound okay? And just getting a little bit of acknowledgement to see if everything's all right. They know you the best and they care for you, and they can be of great help. The other is also you can make an appointment at our psychological services and talk to one of our psychologists here if you feel like things are getting a little bit heavy, you want something that's confidential, and to speak to a specialist. The other, and this sounds so easy, and I don't take my own advice here, Jason, but exercise. It doesn't have to be a grueling gym session, and there's no gyms open at the moment. But just to get something, where your heart is increasing for at least 20 minutes, the heart rate is a good thing. And that can be just going for a walk at the moment, or a bike ride seems to be popular. It just helps release some good feel-good hormones like endorphins. Helps to reduce your stress and tension, and just gives yourself something else to think about. I really want to take my own advice on that one and do some more exercise. It's been probably really good for many people at the moment. The next one's getting enough sleep. It sounds like such an easy one, but a lot of people have trouble keeping a good sleep routine. So if you keep a regular sleep routine, it helps reduce stress and make you feel better mentally. You need time to relax and wind down before bed. A lot of people don't have a good sleep routine like that. And you also need to wake up and go to sleep around the same time every day, plus or minus 2 hours on weekends. But otherwise, you'll get a jet lag feeling on Monday if you don't follow a good routine. And we recommend 6 to 8 hours. 6 is the very minimum that you need. So your brain goes into like a delta 4 wavelength, and so you don't go crazy. So you feel good the next day. Many people who've experienced jet lag or a late night out will know how that feels if you have less than 6 hours sleep. 8 hours is the maximum you probably need when you're young. So, and ideally about 7.5 hours is the gold standard if you want to, be perfect on your sleep. Some people naturally need more, 9 hours, so don't freak out if you're a bit of a sleeper, you'll know yourself. And some people have a little bit less, but it's pretty rare. But some people can live on less sleep. Okay.
I'm doing the maths now. I'm trying to work out how many hours I slept last night. But 7.5 is the gold standard.
Yep.
Okay. A couple of times you mentioned at the moment. So for a bit of context, at the time of recording, we're under restrictions, and we're working from home, and the gyms are closed at the moment. And you mentioned the importance of exercise and for the endorphins and things like that. So as students are currently preparing to study remotely for the first time for many of them at Bond. So in this situation, do you have any general wellness advice for our students that are going to be studying remotely?
Okay, that's a good question. Hopefully this will be a temporary measure, but I've got kind of 5 of my favourite top tips for studying at home. The first one would be to establish a study area. It sounds so easy, but sometimes it can be hard if you're in a share accommodation or there's not a designated area. So it can be challenging sometimes, but it's really important to get out of your bed, get off and out. It's really hard to study under a doona, and you tend to want to go to sleep. But if you can even make the kitchen table or kitchen area, find a desk or the dining room table, something that you can move around. It's really important to be able to establish a clear study area that's not your bed. Yeah. The second one would just to schedule your day, because it's really hard suddenly to not have a schedule. So it's really important to do the normal things you do. Getting up at the same time, getting dressed in the clothes that you would wear to university. Yep, just doing all of the behaviours, having breakfast, brushing your teeth, all the things you would normally do, just to set yourself up for a good day. Your best cognitive hours, your best thinking hours, when your brain works optimally, is actually between 6 a.m. and midday. And in fact, between 10 a.m. and midday, your brain is 100% cognitive power, ready to work. So you really want to do all of the work at the beginning of the day, not at the end of the day. Really after lunch, you're just metabolizing your lunch takes up a lot of energy. By 3 or 4 people usually want to take a break, and their brain actually takes a break. They've measured it. And by 6 p.m. and the sun goes down, you get your first wave of melatonin. At 9 p.m. your second. That's why all people fall asleep in front of TV. These are terrible, terrible times to start studying. You could imagine if your brain was a mobile phone, you'd be in about 30% power. So it'd be more constructive to do 3 hours in the morning at 100% than 10 hours at 30% at night. That's quite important to establish a good routine, keep all of your study to the earlier part of the day when your brain's working its best, and just follow a good routine of the usual sleep and hygiene routine, getting up, brushing your teeth, and just to make it feel like a normal day. My next one, number 3, would be just to set some goals. I think this is the one most people have called in recently to me. They're having a little trouble motivating themselves into doing study and getting ready. Some people's exams have been postponed. people on placements in medicine and physio, which is still running, are finding it very hard to have everything pushed back. So there's not that same sense of urgency that they had before. So if you find that an assignment's pushed back or an exam's pushed back or things have changed in your routine and you have suddenly a bit more time, or you naturally have time because you're not working as well or you're not seeing friends in the same way, it's good to just set up again some goals just as having a bit of a motivation. So it's kind of, I think goals and the routine go well together. Like I'm always going to study from, say, 9 to 12 as a minimum, or from when things get busy, maybe making an 8-hour day, 4 hours in the morning with a hour break for lunch and 4 hours in the afternoon, putting the harder subjects first and the easiest subject in the afternoon. Just kind of setting these little goals and a routine to motivate yourself and not kind of lose focus and the days just kind of meld into each other a bit, if that makes sense. Otherwise, Netflix will just always be there. Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, I always said that I'm glad I did most of my university before smartphones. And I don't know, well, I wouldn't be a psychologist now. Yeah, I'd be very good at computer games. The fourth one, just keeping in touch. So even though you're studying at home, checking in regularly with your tutors and lecturers. Yep, if you don't understand something, to make sure that you get clarification, emailing and checking if there's concerns around, again, deadlines and course material, checking that things are still available. The other is socialising is a huge part of university. So making sure using technology to keep in touch with friends, making study groups through Teams and Microsoft Teams and Zoom. Are really, just having FaceTime and Skype are really important to still see people, and to make sure that you're still part of the general community. And the last one is just knowing where to find support. So students across the country have to change the way they study at the moment with COVID-19. And you can take some comfort in the fact that everyone's in the same boat, and a lot of people are struggling to adapt to a new way of studying. Bond University Medical, Psychological and Disability Services do remain open all through this time. We have face-to-face appointments and telehealth appointments, and you can call through to our reception to find out that information. It's also important to regularly check the university website because they're always updating information that they're getting about how things are progressing during this isolation time.
Thank you so much, Justine.
You're welcome.
For the record, we're recording this at just after 10 o'clock at the optimum.
Yes, we should have done it now. I've only had 10 minutes, my brain's really kicking in. I feel like you've learned some stuff, Jason, that you're going to use now.
Absolutely, and I hope that everybody that listens will as well. You've clarified a lot of feelings of why I feel sleepy after lunch and why I should wake up in the morning and attack the day and do all the big tasks first. Yeah. So thank you so much. So to summarize, you and the whole team are available, and students can make an appointment by calling the medical centre?
Yep, they can call the medical centre, and they can also email us. So that's all online if they want to, but I recommend calling in for an appointment. It's easier. Yeah. And they also you can still walk in. So if you are around, just around the corner or anything like that, you can still walk in and literally an appointment, but you don't have to. I'd recommend during this time to call in. It seems the easiest way, or to email us. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. Really insightful.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. And if you need any further information, please go to the Academic Skills Ireland site, and we've got a heap of resources there. This podcast will be there, but there'll also be other resources on how you can assist with your studies. And of course, if you need to access the medical centre, please give Justine a call.